So I did some work with a lean consulting group out of Norway to build a game for the Parade of Trades. But I had done a rendition of Parade of Trades that changes it from really a manufacturing simulation to an actual construction simulation. It uses the same mechanics, but we set it in how construction actually works. And I called this Takt Towers. So it is a spin-off or an addition to or a version of Parade of Trades to help us actually see how to use this in construction. What this does is it helps us to actually see the flow of work and then see how that produces in an as-built schedule so we can see how that variation affects us. So let's go ahead and jump right into the simulation. This is a simple building that is broken up by 3 floors and 8 areas per floor. This is what is known in tact planning as tact zones. These are your geographical areas in which the schedule applies to those individual blocks, tacts, flow units, whatever you want to call it, to the schedule. So down below here, you see that each individual trade for this tact plan or this schedule, we have concrete, we have mason, and so on and so forth in that order. Week 1, we're going to start concrete. Week 2, we're going to start masonry. 3 is carpentry, right? Or framing, and then plumbing. Over here we have like finished carpentry, right? So we have this sequence of trades of work in order to install everything that needs to happen in these individual spaces. Now to play this game, this start game is a button. And if you click this button multiple times, over and over and over again, it is the gameplay. It's the only thing you need to do to play the game. Sorry. It's the only thing you need to do to play the game. And so if you wanted to play it automated, you can click autoplay and select how fast you want it to actually go. This tells you the actual round that you're in, and if you ever need any help, up in the top right-hand corner, it tells you all of this, how to progress the game, the autoplay, even hotkeys if you wanted to go through that, but it shows you this is your worker, this is the information, right? They're starting in week 4, what week they're on, their actual capacity that they can roll within a given week. And I'll explain this in just a second, and then obviously their actual role. Now, I like this little indicator showing you the color of the work to be built next, meaning that's the next trade to move into that space. And as we get out of the help guide, you can see that the whole building needs concrete to go first in order to get to the next trade. And we'll kind of go over that as we go, but that's the general gist of it. If you want to adjust the actual roll capacity, you can come in here and adjust these right here. But we're going to leave it at 1 through 6 at the very start right here. The reason why is because this is what happens in construction. We try to push really hard on all of our trades to produce as quick and as much as they can, as fast as they can, right? What this does is it makes it so that we're not paying attention. We can have more safety incidences. Our production actually goes down because we're working a lot of overtime. The areas aren't clean, and so we have, trip hazards and all sorts of different stuff. And so pushing hard on production to just go and install, we leave a lot of things unchecked. It could affect our quality, and we have to come back and do rework. All of these things cause issue with our actual production, and is what we do in construction. So let's see how this actually plays out as we do it. So within the first week, our concrete foreman was only able to install 2 of the possible 6 areas that we were hoping for her and her crews to install. But she had a personnel issue. A couple of her people quit on her, and so she was not able to finish all of those slabs or those pours that she was hoping to get done in that first week. Well, we had a meeting, and we hired more folks, and we're going to onboard them and get them going, and hopefully this next week she'll be able to install a lot better. So let's go ahead and see that. Let's go to the next round, which means that we're going to start the mason. This is week 2, right? And so let's start it, and let's see what they can do. Okay, well, we had another couple issues. Well, we ran into some weather, which slowed us down on our concrete pours, and the mason brought enough capacity with, his crew size and equipment and availability, and he could have installed up to 4 areas, but he was only able to install 2, which is a big problem. He's thinking, well, maybe I should send some folks away, which, we talked to him. We have some more, we have three slabs available for him this next week. And so he should be able to pick up production and be okay, hopefully not there. And then the next week's weather forecast should be okay. So let's go ahead and end this round and start up the next. And before I do want to remind us that each one of these is a random roll of the dice. It is a randomizer. So every time you play this, it's going to be different, and there might be different issues that pop up. I'm just giving you an example of what this would look like and how it applies to construction. So let's go ahead and start this third week, which is when we're going to bring in the framer, the carpenter number 1, and let's go ahead and start building. Well, our carpenter had a safety incident, and he only had 2 areas available, and we really, had to focus on that. But our concrete foreman, she really rocked it this week. She got 4 slabs done, which is, about the minimum that we need to have in order to, stay on track for this week. So that was really good of her. But these other 2, we ran into some incidents of weather in this area with whatever, and so that's what happened there. Let's go ahead and start the next round and see what happens. Again, we're running into these issues right here. Concrete's doing really, really great. Masonry started picking it up, so that's doing great. Overall, I think we're doing fairly well. So it looks like we had another safety incident. We're really going to have to work with this foreman. And then there were some tool issues here, but we're out and up ahead, so concrete shouldn't be an issue anymore. And our framer is starting to hit his stride, so really good. Let's go into the next week. And actually, I might hit autoplay here in a second so you can see it just over time. This right here was an interesting week. Our plumber had enough capacity to be at full max, how much that they can actually install. But there was only 4 areas for her to install, so that would mean that there wasn't enough zones ready for her. Same thing with our carpenter. He only got 3 in and could have got way more, but our mason had some issues last week and then weather this week. So this is going to be a big problem right here, big sticking. Our concrete gal's doing pretty fine, but our finished carpenter, he could have got way further. Whilst our electrical foreman, she only installed 2 because there was only 2 available to her, and she ran out of materials, which is a problem for this next week. So we're going to hopefully, get that remedied for this following week. So now we can see the painter only has 2 available to him. The finished carpenter, 2. Electrician has 4 available to her, and so on and so forth. So let's see how we can do. Looks like we had some more weather delays. And then our masonry really did a good job, but we really this has just been a sticking point for the entire project right here, just horrible. And then weather, and then so hopefully we can do better. Our electrician has manned up, so she has brought more crews available to the work. So let's go ahead and go into the next round. A lot of issues here. That was a bad week. Let's go ahead and keep going. Man, we have some personnel problems on this job site. we're gonna have to really work hard to work through these. Painter's catching up. Looks like the framer did a good job, and so did the plumber. We keep having material issues with our electrical contractor. We're really going to need to work on those supply chains. And right at the very end, we had a material snafu. And then our safety incidences, you know, our job is just abysmal. We're dragging down the whole company at this point. And then obviously personnel, man, can't get enough qualified help these days, can we? I'm just gonna hit autoplay through the last little bit. So there you have it. We have 17 weeks that it took us to install all of this work. You can see that up at the top how the concrete crew was able to finish all their work in 7 weeks. Mason finished on week 9, and so on and so forth. So the project took us 17 weeks. Now the capacity total is taking all of the amount of resources, whether it's the crew sizes and equipment and tools and all of that, and it gives us a total number of 230 capacity units, meaning that's how much resources and crews and so on and so forth that we have on this project, which directly correlates to our actual cost on this project. So these are like the man hours or crew hours, men and women hours, right, on this project. So as we look at that, that's what we actually spent. So it was 17 weeks, 230 is what we spent, and 62 was unused capacity. Meaning that we actually bought that capacity, but it was unable to be utilized because when we got it out to the job site, due to weather, safety incidents, personnel, like all those different reasons, or the areas not being available to them, these are resources that we had that could have worked, but they didn't, and it was actual waste. Horrible. We don't want this on our projects. So this was the actual outcome of our project. And down here you can see the as-built schedule. It doesn't look horrible, you know, but we see all these issues throughout, right? And we see all of these inefficiency gaps. Another thing that I'll show you is the maximum capacity that each was able to achieve within any given week. The most that concrete ever produced within a week was 5. The least that it produced was 2. So you can see the variance of contractor to contractor. Even the plumber that did really good and was able to roll 6s, at times rolled a 1, right? And so this with all this type of variation to the production, this was the outcome. Now, we're gonna go ahead and do one more quick simulation, and I'm gonna show you how we can improve without spending a lot of money. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna click New Game, and you can do this as many times as you would like. And you can adjust these to however you would like. But for this round, I'm going to lower my expectation to a 4. I want us to only install a maximum of 4 in any given week. And I'm going to expect that we at least get 3 in any given week. And I'm going to show you what happens if we level this production. And instead of having those large swings from 6s to 1s, I'm going to, wait for it, slow our production to a steady pace, not a slow pace, but a steady pace, so that everyone can move the same rate, the same distance apart. This will help us tremendously, because instead of trying to roll that 6, we are going to have capacity to actually keep our areas clean. We're going to have a 5S program. We're going to go through and make sure that our quality as we go is correct and we're installing it properly, and we're going to finish as we go. And we're going to make sure that our organization and cleanliness and all of that stuff is done properly, so that when we move from one area to the next, we're leaving the areas clean, clear, and ready for the next trade. That's what we're doing on this next simulation round. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit autopilot, and I'm going to speed this up to a 2 and let you see how it looks. And there you have it. Do you see anything that's different? From the last time we ran the simulation to this time we ran the simulation, notice the final duration of weeks it took us to build the project. It was the same thing. We were rolling random dice. That's the only thing that changed, was going from 1 to 6 and 3 and 4. What that did for us is it made it so the painter finished at 14, and not just that it finished ahead of schedule by, what is that, 15%? But we also used less resources, less crews. 180 capacity units, 185 capacity units is what it took us. This right here is direct correlated savings that we get on the project for utilizing less crews, manpower, womenpower, whatever you want to call it, and less equipment, because we're able to focus in on having just enough that we need for the size of space that we're working in. So what else did we get? We got less waste. This is the unused capacity. Was it 100% gone? No. And did we still have issues on the project? Yes. And they were throughout. And did we have inefficiency gaps? Of course. But you can see they're a lot less. This is tact planning. This is how we achieve tact planning. As we take our work and we make sure that we can have the proper amount of buffer within our work packages and within our system, so that each trade can flow and have enough work ahead to do each week, so that they don't run into each other, and that these big issues that come up at us, there's still the same amount of issues that came at us, but they didn't affect us as much because we had the proper capacity to deal with that variation. This is how we win in construction. Focusing on, instead of going as fast as we can and pushing into areas that might open up and look available, this is that push mentality. And if we focus on building the actual capacity of the team and working together the same rate, the same distance apart, we can shorten our schedule times, our overall schedule durations, and use less crews and resources on our project, thus putting more money in all of our pockets, making it more effective on a budgetary standpoint and overall schedule standpoint. This is the power of tact, flow, and utilizing these things on our projects. This can be the difference for us if we utilize these principles. I hope this is helpful. Reach out if you have any questions or want to talk further about these principles. I'm super excited to share this with the world, that the Takt Towers simulation can show us how construction can improve by simply looking at building capacity and working the same rate, the same distance apart. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.